nobody will ever know it, but we got this Alice in Wonderland background and we're smoking a Crazy Alice cigar. Well, you know because I said it, but yeah, that was like our whole thing. Like, let's smoke the Crazy Alice because of Alice, even though they have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, what are we doing today?
So, there's been this thing going around the internet. They're the couple tag questions. I've seen a few that are goth couples, which I pulled some different questions, and if you've got some of your own you come up with.
Oh, you know, I just put out random shit.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with some questions. So I do have one, and you already know what it is, but...
You might have a couple that I missed.
Oh, so before we do this, though, we're drinking cider today. It's her first time having this. It's chai tea and apple cider. And I've never had this anywhere other than in Sheboygan, and it's wonderful.
It is.
I'm sure it exists other places, but it's a local place here. I go in one fall, and they're like, you want a cider? And I'm like, what? And it was awesome. It's actually our second one today because I fell asleep while drinking the first one because it was after work for me.
Yeah, and
so
I drank the rest of it.
we're having dinner, and I'm like, I want another cider because I don't feel like I was satisfied from it.
Yeah, and we have some friends. Don't mind the random thumping. Our large dog has his very large bone. Bigger. Yeah.
It's not on the screen. Oh. And he's mad because he's in the kennel because he'll be walking around and smacking everything with his death tail. So, yeah, we put him in his kennel for now, and I gave him his bone, but you might hear him whining in the background, and the cats are screaming because...
They're screaming cats.
The one is a hit me scream, the other one is a I hate everything.
She's a tort, and for anyone who has a tortoise shell cat, they know that those lovely cats are just the most attitudinal cats possible.
Attitudinal, I like that. So yeah, we've actually filmed a couple of videos that didn't film right. So for the last couple of videos, updating everything going crazy in the house, let me tell you, you only know half the story.
Yeah.
We have found people sitting out on our front porch at night. Mm-hmm. More than once. That's a whole thing. We're not even going to get into it. We're going to have some fun today. So, I don't know if you realize this, but we might possibly be into the whole goth thing.
Might?
I don't have these anymore, but I used to have pictures of me, like, anywhere I was in the world, Sri Lanka, Korea, wherever, and I always had a Susie and the Banshees t-shirt on. And this whole joke of, like, how many countries can I get a picture of myself in without wearing a Susie and the Banshees t-shirt? The answer is, let's see, the United States, Japan, we'll call Okinawa its own thing because of the Ryukyu Kingdom, Sri Lanka, Korea, and I don't think I had it on in Thailand. So I guess the answer is 4. 5. Whatever number that was, that's the answer.
Okay.
And I think Sri Lanka was the one where somebody saw me walking down the street and went, yeah, Susie and the Banshees.
So
we're going to do this whole thing. We saw this on Gothcast. I saw it, was like, we should do that. And I sent it to her. I didn't say anything. I'm like, hey, watch this video. And she sends me a message back, like, we should do this. We've been planning this for months.
Yeah, and then I found another video and I sent it to him. I'm like, there's a couple questions out of here that I kind of like, so.
Did Random Goth Couple do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we're getting our first question from.
That's our shout out because they're the second cutest goth couple on the internet.
Yeah.
We're the first.
We also have our precious little friends. Up behind Mr. Raven is something that I got from my best friend who currently lives in Missouri, and I don't know where she got it from, but it's the weirdest little thing ever. Yes.
I'm like blocking him. I've got a goat from You Goat Mail. And I bought for somebody else because I thought they wanted the Halloween goat. And they're like, I don't want this. I wanted a different one. And they just like threw it back at me and was like, you're a jerk. Like legit. And I'm like, okay, fine. It's mine. I think it's awesome.
And then our precious Whoosh.
Have you told the story about Whoosh?
No, but we'll do that later.
Okay. That was from me.
Yeah. It was after a hospital trip.
All right, let's just get into it then.
Okay, so how did we meet? So obviously we were walking through this wonderful forest completely separately, and we just happened upon this cemetery in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and we found each other that way, right?
And it was the golden hour for like 6 hours. Just that little bit of sunlight.
No,
And it was simultaneously spring and fall. Half the trees were bare and half of them had like gold and red leaves on them. Except the pine trees, of course.
I can't.
And then much like in my favorite book, With Fire and Sword, a falcon landed on her arm and grabbed her arm in one talon and mine in the other and pulled them together.
No, we actually met online.
I mean, I got no problem saying it. We met on FetLife. And if you don't know what that is, I'm not going to get into it, but it's basically kinky Facebook.
Yeah.
And we weren't, neither one of us was there to like meet like sex partners or anything like you'd probably think.
Yeah, no, we were literally looking for friends, and it definitely started as a friendship, but it didn't continue to stay a friendship.
Yeah, well, I was like, I was looking for people for when I go visit my dad in Iowa. Because I still keep in contact with like all my childhood friends, but everybody's married, has kids, nobody's got time to do anything. So I was like, I'll see if I can find somebody. And I figured like I'd try FetLife. Because one, I was on there, but two, I was like, in case it does go somewhere else, that pretty much eliminates the awkward conversation of here's all the freaky shit I'm into.
Well, and I was on there because in the past I have very specific predilections, and I had been introduced to it by a friend of mine.
Yes, I hear children screaming outside. Those are not ours.
No children.
And they're also not being skinned alive, sadly.
But I have specific predilections, and I've introduced a few people to the website myself, and...
I introduced a lot of people from work to it. I've asked how we met. I tell them, they go, what's that? Then I get the, how much does it cost? It's free. It was what'd you call it? FetLife? Had that happen a couple times already.
But I was looking for people that were like-minded, that weren't going to judge me or anything, especially like being from Iowa. Grabbing this thing is really awkward.
It's awkwardly shaped, and I didn't light it very well. Like half of it's burning and half of it's not.
Yeah, I see this.
I said, did you just hear the doorbell? But no, those are the church bells on the street.
But no, being from Iowa, there's a certain we don't talk about that thing.
Yeah, it was weird. You can find like everybody who's into anything in Iowa, and they're all over, but nobody talks about it.
Right. And the few people that I met on there, there's tons of cool people on there. There was one person. There was a lot more creepier people. One person we don't speak of.
Glad I didn't come off as creepy.
Oh gods, no! You weren't screaming at me the first time you messaged me. My ex did, though.
My first message to her was like really casual, like introducing myself, but I think the thing that sealed the deal, and she's got it on right now, she's got a pendant with the triple goddess symbol, and I wrote like a whole paragraph talking about that.
Yeah. He was the second person on that website who made mention of the fact that they noticed that I'm clearly pagan and I have no qualms in showing it, and it was nice to hear.
And I will freely admit, I read her profile like 2 or 3 times, then went through her pictures, then went back to the profile a few times to make sure I understood everything.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people just saw the pictures and went, ooh, boobies.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And then
did.
they probably messaged you, ooh, boobies.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
So yes, we met online.
Okay. What do our parents think of our relationship?
I mean, I think her mother's finally figured out I'm the same guy, but for up till about 4 or 5 months ago, every time I'd go visit, she was convinced I was a different person. Made it very clear she thought I was a different person.
I'm pretty sure your parents, well, your dad and your stepmom are pretty okay with everything.
Yeah.
Your parents are a lot cooler than mine.
Yeah, definitely.
my dad, I think he just doesn't care, but my dad also doesn't talk too much. I think about the only thing that he really knows about Raven is that he's former military, and that's about the only thing that even remotely interests him. And even then, he doesn't care.
Your dad said like 4 sentences to me, and they all sounded angry, including the one where he was making a joke about Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
Like, the guy just sounds perpetually angry, and I'm just like, okay, you should shut up now.
Okay. How long have we been together?
We started talking, it was like end of December, early January of 2020. Not 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then her the first time she came out to visit me, I didn't come visit her. She came to me, and it was like right after the lockdown started, and we'd been talking like 3 or 4 months at this point. And we were discussing meeting up, and it was just like the first weekend where the weather was nice, and she goes, I want to come see you because the weather's nice, but everything went under lockdown. And my response was, I'm not going to tell you to do it, but if you come out this way, I'll make it worth your while. Which I did because I gave her clam strips and sushi.
I paid for both. I don't care. It was worth it.
That was my idea.
It was your idea.
Our first 3 dates, because of where I was living with an ex and I didn't want her to know anything. That's a whole thing. Our first couple dates where she'd drive the 5 hours out here, we'd get in my car and drive around for 4 or 5 hours and just listen to music and talk.
Yeah.
And then she'd drive the 5 hours back.
They were the best dates I've ever been on. Like the best first dates.
I mean, this woman spent like 18 hours in a car to come visit me a few times.
Yeah, and this was after being at a job where I spent some days 18 hours driving in a car for a very horrid boss. But that's a whole nother story. Okay.
Next question!
How old were you when you got into goth?
Ooh, that is So the first time I remember actually hearing the term was on an old show, Relic Hunter with Tia Carrere. There was an episode where like her assistant like dates a goth guy, and I was like, that was the first time I like heard the term, and I'm like, hey, that's the stuff I'm into. But growing up as a child of like the late '80s, where we had like the big surgeon of anime coming out, you had like Tim Burton's all of his movies. I mean, me and my sister would watch Beetlejuice, the Batman films, and like Pee-wee's Big Adventure on a loop all the time.
Me and my big ass sweater that has Beetlejuice written on it.
Since we're on it, we already said we met on Fat Life. Yes, Beetlejuice is our safe word. You have to say it 3 times. We also considered Candyman, but can you really blurt something out 5 times during? Like, how goth are you? Beetlejuice is my safe word. God, the Addams Family movies came out when I was a kid. Like,
yep. It's
always just kind of been like when I look back at it, it's like it's no wonder I'm into this type of stuff.
Well, and I was born in the late '90s, like.
Well, and you visited my hometown, like, and this is my description of it. And you can tell me if you agree, but my description is it's one of those rare like Midwest towns where it always looks like it's Halloween.
Yep.
And that has a big thing.
Well, and I grew up in a bigger town not too far away from it. And, like, Halloween's always been my favorite holiday. Like, the next is Christmas.
Which like, I know a lot of people like Christmas, but it's like Christmas is actually really has a very gothic vibe to it.
It does.
All the lights and everything, the snow.
And
no matter what Christmas story you're going with, Santa, Jesus, whatever, they all have like such a paranormal vibe to them.
Yep. The fucking 3 Ghosts of Christmas.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I
think that's also why like you get all the ghosts around Christmas and Halloween.
All the smells of that time of year. Not even like candles or cooking or anything. But
Thor, get out from there. Sorry, he's our cameraman today.
Yeah, he's been being
hi.
a troll lately.
We should have put his suit on. Well, it's great because like you have Halloween and then you have Christmas, which like the two like biggest ones, and then you got Thanksgiving right in the middle, which is like way more mellow, but somehow kind of combines both.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, like, and then I grew up Beetlejuice, Addams Family, and the original Addams Family show. Not like I watched the Addams Family movies later on when I was closer to a teenager, but like then you have the Halloween movies that I watched when I was like 8, even though my mom told my dad I wasn't allowed to watch scary movies.
And that's the other thing. My mom was big into scary movies, so her and my sister would always watch them. Then I'd want to watch them. So it was like constantly around stuff like that.
Well, and it's like becoming pagan at 11, which that was a whole big thing for me. Like, you just then delving into the music, because about that age you're starting to find yourself. I'm like delving deep into all these different bands
and I started real old school. The thing that really got me is it was like right after we moved to Milwaukee. Milwaukee used to have a really nice classical music station. And when I discovered Baroque music, it was like, oh, fuck, yeah. So I'm like starting at the very beginning. And
that was me then, at like 8.
And my parents always had the oldie station on, or even like my dad would listen to the country station a lot, and on Sunday mornings they'd do like old school country. So you'd get the two where they blend with rockabilly, which really kicks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I'd start early with that.
Yeah, and then.
But as far as like fashion, like I'd usually just wear black because it's all I could. Like my parents, that was it. But when I was out on my own, I started buying more like actual gothic clothing, and that's when I discovered I liked the Victorian style. But even then, because I was in the military, and I would get in trouble for that. I used to walk around with a copy of our civilian clothes. What do you call it? It was like a
handbook.
Like how you could dress. And I'd be within it, and people would tell me, like, no, you have to go back to the barracks and change. And I'd be like, here's the military, like, I'm within, and I'd turn around and be like, but those 5 guys over there aren't. Because they'd be wearing, like, really baggy, like, basketball jerseys, which you can't wear the real baggy ones. And they'd be like, don't worry about them, you need to go and change. So I had this weird period where I've been, like, in and out of it, like, fashion-wise.
Well, fashion-wise, my mother decided that telling me at a young age I should have been born a boy was a brilliant idea. Did not help things when considering I have 2 older siblings. My one is since passed.
Her brother's like my age. He's actually like 2 years younger than me, and I swear he looks about 20 years older.
He's actually less than 6 months younger than you.
Either way, he looks like 20 years older than
He looks like he's in his 50s or 60s. Like, he did not age well. He aged like a mother.
To that weird realization was about a year ago. I made that post on Facebook. Like, this didn't occur to me till like a year ago. But I'm like, I've studied fencing. I like cigars. I like trains. And I'm always wearing suits. Like, at what point did I actually grow up and become Douglas Adams? Like, and then like I'd go back and watch and be like, oh man, that is spot on me. Like,
well, and like I was rewatching them the one night that I was having that real bad night back in Iowa, and I'm like, okay, what point did I become Morticia?
We do have a lot of plants.
And I like cutting their heads off. I don't well, and I do use the empty stems. God damn it.
So, we do gotta get a Afghan hound and name him It.
Has to be because of it.
Because you always have him wear like the doggy sunglasses.
Okay, we should probably move on.
To put it bluntly, at least for me, pretty much since the moment I broke out of the womb. No one might like the Sisters of Mercy or something were on, and I came out like, what?
It was probably the cure for me.
It's Friday and I've been born.
I was actually born on a Friday. I looked it up once.
I did that too, but I don't remember what the day it is. However, the #1 song in the U.S. when I was born, and this will explain everything, was Maniac. I do dance like I've never danced before.
Okay.
Moving on.
Is dating a goth better? So
Yes.
much better.
The last person I'm with, who I don't want to say like a bunch of bad stuff, but she hated that I was in. She would just rag on my music taste all the time, and she really, for whatever reason, did not like ghost dance. And I'm sitting here like, Anne-Marie Hurst has like the most amazing voice ever.
So the last person I was with, and I don't hold ill will or animosity towards them, even though I probably could. It's just not my style. Hate is a gross thing.
Hate is like regret. You got to save it for when you really need it.
Yeah. But like they were more of a fetishist kind of goth type. Like
I want a big titty goth girl.
Yes.
I hate those guys, by the way.
Yeah.
Those are always the overly preppy guys. We're talking about they want the big titty goth girl, but they will fucking make fun of guys like me.
Yeah, no, like...
And in high school, I was like the 90-pound weakling, so now I could kick their asses.
Okay.
I wouldn't, but...
Do we believe in the supernatural? Abso-goddamn-fucking-lutely.
I thought about bringing it down, but it's upstairs. We might have to, like, do a cut at the end of this. But I always said when I bought a house, I wanted to build, like, one of those little free libraries, but make it like a haunted house and do nothing but, like, paranormal books and, like Victorian-era literature and shit like that. So we're working on that right now. It's probably 2/3 of the way done.
I have a picture that features it in the background. We can add that in.
Or we can go get a shot of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so yeah, no, like that's another reason that it probably is growing up in this old town where it seemed like everything was haunted. I've told stories about that on my old channel.
So, best story ever. So, my wonderful sister, like, bless her heart and everything. Like, no, we didn't always get along, but, you know, siblings. It's fine.
We have another.
Yes, we do. So, the night that she passed, my dad turned on the radio. She played not one, but 3 songs. She played Knocking on Heaven's Door, Stairway to Heaven, and, oh God, I'm drawing a blank. Don't Fear the Reaper.
I don't. We play golf every Thursday morning.
And then, at the same time that this was happening in my parents' house, in my dad's best friend's house, he got up in the middle of the night for whatever reason. He walked into his hallway and he saw my sister in his hallway. Like, full-on apparition, the whole 9 yards. We've had weird shit happen in the house. I have my sister's ashes in the house. Not all of them.
They're in here.
They're actually in this room. But...
Really? Where? Oh, they're up there. I remember I saw them. They're up on top.
Yeah. But
we're not classy because they're just like in a Ziploc bag.
For now!
I'm getting this woman an urn of some kind. We've also discussed putting her in a flask.
Yeah.
We
Like...
need a funnel to get her in there.
Yeah, we would. But, like, my sister has done all kinds of things. Like, more recently, she actually went and appeared in one of my dreams. And mind you, there is no reason she should be in my dreams at this point. Like, she's been going on 10 years. And, and she actually went and gave me a hug and told me that she's proud of me.
We had that ghost cat show up in the house the one night to check in on you.
Yup.
Which we do believe we talked about in one video. I've always dealt with stuff like that, but probably the best one was when I was in Okinawa. The barracks we were in were supposedly haunted, and we had all sorts of weird stuff happen in our room. And then one day I was taking a nap, and I heard something like knocking on my TV, like on the screen of the TV. And my roommate and James came. Great. This is when James Blackwell was my roommate, and then James Walsh, the other RP that would hang out with us. They come into my room, and they're talking, and they both freeze up and stop, and I keep hearing this tap, 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 tap. It's legit like a fingernail on, like, glass. And I get up, look over at the TV, and it's like an apparition, like, from the waist up, standing by the TV doing it, just kind of staring at the three of us. And I go, will you knock it off? I'm trying to sleep. And I lay back down, and I'm like, hold up. And I jumped up. And the two Jameses are sitting there like, and I look at them, and I'm like, first time, huh? And they go, uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah, that's always weird, man. And I'm like, make sure you lock the door on your way out. I'm going back to sleep.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food? I mean, if we're going to be simple, I'm an Iowa guy. I'm corn on the cob. And you can do so much with it. If we're going to get fancier than that... Oh boy. Okay, so we're talking like actual dishes or just a food?
Anything.
So anything that I can eat, that would be you. Desserts count. We had the most wonderful creme brulee after dinner tonight.
Yeah, it was a vanilla bean creme brulee. I would put that over the ashtray, dear.
Yeah, I think it's done. But no, if I had to pick, I'm weird. I like a good salad, but I like a good steak, but I got to make the steak basically a specific way. So, but yeah, any type of salad is usually good. Especially since you can put like anything in it, and it's nice to have like chunks of chicken or steak on there as well.
Okay, my qualifications for my favorite food: is it edible? Is it delicious? Does it have flavor?
You like to go to the salad bar.
Like I am not picky about my food at all. I learned that one growing up real well.
I'm not terribly picky, but and she knows I can't stand green beans. Like, it's not the way they look, the way they taste, and the one thing that's the absolute worst to me is the smell. Like, I won't even cook with them. Like, no, they're disgusting on every level to me. They taste slimy no matter how you do them.
You haven't had fresh green beans when I do them, though.
I have had fresh green beans. I've had them done by various people, and it's just no. I'm pushing 40. I'm done trying that shit.
That's fair. Okay. Childhood collectible.
This is not fair. I just sold mine.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
I feel like
So, yeah, I had a big retro video game collection. Again, you could see this on my old YouTube. The big things were the original NES, which I'd kept since childhood, and a Master System, because I had a Game Gear, and it's basically the same stuff. And I had not a full set for the Master System, but I had... There's about 100 games released in the US. I had like 90-something of those. It's just over 300 for Europe, including the 100 from the US. My grand total was like 280-something. So it was almost a full set for both, and then I had a bunch of the really rare stuff out of Brazil. And because of everything that happened in the past 2 months, I sold all the Master System stuff, and I was keeping some of the NES stuff, but I was able to get a Raspberry Pi off of a guy on Marketplace. And I ended up with 2 of them. He had one, it worked, but it wasn't right. So he sent me a flash drive to fix it, and then he sent me the other one he had. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, you earned both. But so I had that, and it had a lot of like the homebrew stuff I had too. So I was like, I'm gonna get rid of everything but like my Famicom stuff and any homebrew stuff that's not on that emulator. So we went ahead and get rid of all that, so I can still play that stuff at least. But yeah, I did everything I could not to sell the Master System stuff, and that's gone now. It was one of those, I can't just sell 1 or 2 of the real expensive games if like it's gonna upset me, so I just get rid of it all.
So for me, childhood collectibles would have to have been my Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
That's fair.
When we moved houses.
Now, adult collectibles, however,
Well,
before she finishes this, my mom had a big doll collection. I always thought they were cool. And my sister would collect dolls, and I wanted to get into it. And they're like, no, this is girls collect dolls. Boys don't do that. So as an adult, I started getting them as well. I have all my mom's old ones here now because my sister's kids think they're creepy as shit. So she asked me if I wanted them. I'm like, hell yeah, I want them. And then only like 1 or 2 of them are actually on display. So I have a lot of dolls, and she's really been encouraging it. We got to slow down. We've bought so many. And it's like...
We have slowed down.
It's got to be creepy, but not over... Like, we found 2 or 3 that were like, I don't want that in my house.
They were way too creepy.
But also the one, like I used to have a bunch of the Living Dead dolls, especially back when I was in the military. But as I've gotten older now, it just shows your change in taste. Like, I don't think they're that... I think they're funny.
Yeah.
Like, and it occurred to me, like, the ones that are intentionally creepy like that are kind of meh. Though there's a lady here who does, like almost like voodoo doll style ones. Those are really cool. But, yeah, so we try to find those when we go out.
But, when we went to move houses when I was, like, 11-ish, 10, 11-ish, this was when a lot of shit happened. But, my mom took all of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I had been saving up and everything like that. Like, I had original Blue Eyes White Dragon, I had Dark Magician, I had a few, like, fun things. I didn't have a deck or anything, I just thought that they were cool, and...
The artwork? That's actually what got me into Magic, because I thought the artwork was cool, and I started buying the cards. And eventually it was like, I should maybe try playing this.
That's how I got into Magic. I liked Yu-Gi-Oh! Somebody said I'd like the art on Magic, and that's how I got into Cardboard Crack.
Every card in Magic, and even some of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ones, looks like a heavy metal album cover.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, not so much. But some of those are pretty badass, too.
Some of the cards that I had, you would have loved some of what I had. But, yeah, no, my mom decided to go through the box of books that I had packed. She threw away toys, she threw away books, she threw away my Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
My dad had a big baseball card collection, or no, comic books. He had this huge comic book collection. And then my grandfather got mad or something and threw them out at one point. And, this was like the 50s, so it's like Silver Age, so a lot of those are worth a decent amount now. But he had a lot of... This should explain out. He had a lot of Superman and a lot of Uncle Scrooge. Explains a lot.
Goth activities we enjoyed together.
There's a cemetery just up the street. We like to go have picnics there.
Yeah. I will be doing random stuff around the house, and you will just start DJing.
That's also where our dolls come into play, since we're making that ballroom and we've got things set up so a bunch of the dolls can be in there like they're the guests of the ballroom. Video games, depending on the game.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're always watching shit like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
From Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
We have actually gone through, we've done this several times, we've picked out all the episodes of South Park that feature the Goth Couple. and they're in a lot of episodes, but as far as ones that feature them, it's maybe like, it's 3, 4.5-ish.
That was...
And we'll watch them and be like, let's do it again. And we sat there and watched them like 3 or 4 times in a row, back to back.
We started doing that when we were in, he was up here and I was in Iowa. Okay. Addams Family are monsters.
Addams Family all the way. But damn, the cars on the Munsters were cool. This is part of why we got to get the Atari running. There's a game on the it's on the 7800. It's called Midnight Mutants. But it's Midnight Mutants featuring Grandpa, and it's Grandpa Munster. And he's the only character from the show, because in the 80s when he was hosting like all the horror shows, he was kind of like a Elvira type character. And so I think that's how we got on there. But it's funny because you have that, and then you have like Fester's Quest on the NES, and it's like, this is bizarre. Like these have no right to exist, and they're both good.
Yeah, no, I grew up watching the Addams Family, so I'm partially biased. But we also did watch the Munsters here and there. It would come on mostly around Halloween.
There was the one channel Milwaukee used to get stuff from the Screen Gems Network every Saturday, and they did this it was 2-hour double feature, and it'd be like Munsters and Addams Family, and then I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched. But there would be episodes that had like the same thing. Like I remember one, it was the I Dream of Jeannie, The Bewitched, were an episode where a character gets turned into a monkey. And it's like, how did that happen on both shows? Which, that's actually another good one. I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched.
Bewitched.
I gotta go with Jeannie because Barbara Eden in that outfit.
For me, it's Bewitched because that's...
So
It's fucking me!
So you'll like this. When I was in Japan, they had their own version over there. It was actually Bewitched in Tokyo.
Ah. Okay. Favorite Tim Burton movie?
We had a long discussion about this, like when we first came up with this. I'm gonna easily give it to Batman Returns, and I've always said that's like the most gothed out movie ever.
Yeah.
That's also the movie that introduced me to Susie and the Banshees. There's just something I really like the Tim Burton, so I'm gonna give it to Batman Returns, but it's a hard choice. I think I can pick that one number one, like as a definite number one. But everything else is like number two and is so close. Because like Pee-wee's Big Adventure was great, like I already said, was one that I always liked. And then the other one that we had talked about was Ed Wood, which is kind of not, like, it doesn't feel like you forget that's a Tim Burton movie, but as a fan of terrible movies, to have a movie about the life of Ed Wood that's kind of done up in a way to be a terrible movie is just hilarious.
So.
But I also have a hate relationship with that because I can't stand how Bela Lugosi's depicted it. Like, it's funny, but it's so beyond inaccurate. And the fact that dude won an award for that, and it's like Lugosi never won any awards for any of his roles. Like, that's not right.
So, well, I have to continuously go through them all. Like, when we originally started talking about that specific question, I went through
Thanks,
and
Gothcast. It's like a 3-day conversation for us.
It really was. I actually Googled all the Tim Burton movies because I'm like, I feel like I'm missing so many. But...
Well, you forget about things like Big Fish.
Yeah.
Which I didn't care for, so that wouldn't be on mine.
Yeah. So, for me, because of where and how I grew up, I got really partial to the more animated stuff. So, like, mine's all tied for number one. Would be Edward Scissorhands.
You know, I've only seen that movie once, like when I was a kid. And I liked it, but I've never seen it since. So I've had a hard time like judging that one. But don't we have it over here? Didn't we pick that up from Freak Toys?
I think so.
It was like the big tin one or something.
I think we looked at it, but I don't know if we picked it up.
Well, that wasn't too bright. Keep going.
We're
like over here looking at the shelf. Like, oh, okay, no, it's over there.
There's Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, Corpse Bride, Beetlejuice. Should have known that was going to be in there. And then Batman, because always been a huge Batman fan. But then I'd have to say number two would be like Ed Wood, Sleepy Hollow.
So Sleepy Hollow is one she knows I've never sat through the whole movie. I always fall asleep during it. And as a fan of Hammer horror films, we're going to get to that question. I love how he does it. It's like him trying to do a Hammer movie. But it comes off as kind of dull to me.
It's actually the next question.
Yeah. So Sleepy Hollow, I've got like a love-hate relationship. Like the one time I made it to like the last 10 minutes and passed out. But it's almost like something like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula from the 90s, where I don't think I really care for the movie, but dear God, is the cinematography amazing, and that's enough to I want to watch it. Just like I want to be in that world, so I'll watch the movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, favorite movies. You basically already, and kind of already.
Being such a movie nerd. But the big one for me was, and this shouldn't surprise anybody, like he was a goth kid in the 90s, man, The Crow. Oh my God! My first DVD was the box set, like when The Crow Salvation came out with the three of them, and I bought that. I bought that like the day it was released. I didn't own a DVD player, I had to do all sorts of chores around the house and save up money for about 3 months to be able to get a DVD player. And then I got one of those like TV DVD player combos. And then the only DVD I had was The Three of the Crow. So I watched those movies all the time. Watched them with the commentary, like deleted scenes, like anything that was on there. I watched all that shit.
Okay.
But if I had to say a actual favorite movie, the one that I've always gone back to, two of them that I've kind of always flipped back and forth were Ghostbusters, which fits in this, and then The Rocketeer is one I just fucking love. Which also brings me, we're talking about like Batman and like how it had that sort of gothic aesthetic. We got a lot of pulp style movies in that. You got Batman Returns, Dick Tracy, the Addams Family films kind of worked their way into there. The Rocketeer, The Phantom, The Shadow, and almost none of those movies made money.
Oh my god!
You didn't think about that, like.
No. Okay, so for me, mine are going to sound really off the wall and kind of weird.
Well, I could have mentioned some shit like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, which, by the way, the best thing about that movie is the title.
So, well, mine are going to sound kind of weird, but one of mine was, actually two of mine, were introduced to me by my late sister. And, like, I love them because they remind me of her. And that would be Rent and Sweeney Todd. Of course, two musicals. Then, if you want to keep in the trend of musicals, I really like Repo. Because genetic opera. Why the fuck not?
Well, my parents were big into musicals. We'd watch like the classic ones. So it's kind of funny because like a little bit of Rent I saw with you was pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Sweeney Todd or Repo, but the one I really like that surprises people
for those.
is Chicago.
Chicago's not
I
bad.
fucking love Chicago. I don't know.
Also keeping with the theme of musicals, I like Phantom of the Opera a lot.
Which was one of the questions I had come up with. Is that even on there? It is not. But since we're there, okay. Favorite version of Phantom of the Opera?
It's the one you hate.
The Andrew Lloyd Webber one?
Because
I like the music in it.
Yeah.
The movie adaptation was good. My concern is Andrew Lloyd Webber is one of those guys who, in at least every one of his musicals, he has completely stolen a song from somebody. And he's one of those guys who's so damn rich, it doesn't even matter who's, because I think one of them was something from like The Who.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, what the hell? But they already had plenty of money at this point, and it was like, the guy's so damn rich and powerful, you can't do anything to him.
Yeah, no.
And that's what bothers me with it.
No, that specific one also relates back to my sister, which is
And that Nightwish
why.
cover of the head song from that is really... It's actually not that good, but it's cool.
Yeah, no, kind of continuing with movies, though, because I wasn't quite done. Like, I really like Ghostbusters, and...
I'll say it, I like Ghostbusters too, even though it's the same damn movie. That's a hard one to watch back to back.
Like, and then you throw me into, like... You could just about throw me into anything, and depending on how it's done, I'll really enjoy it. Like, I've pointed out a bunch of, like, really weird musicals, but... Like...
Well, we watched a lot of silent films together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did that before meeting me, but...
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
So I might as well... If I had to pick a favorite movie of all time, we would be a silent film. It would be The Eclipse Courtship of the Sun and the Moon.
Yes!
Even though Georges Méliès has done far more famous works involving the sun and the moon, like A Trip to the Moon, that's the one I really like. And part of that was right after I found out my mom had cancer and everything and how far it had come along. TMC, when they would do like the silent movies on Saturday nights, that was on, and my ex-wife was like, "Hey, you like this stuff? You want to watch this?" I'm like, "No," because I'm just like in a pissy mood, and she just left it on, and it just kind of like sucked me in, and that's one I hadn't seen before, and I was just like, I love this. I love how surreal that type of stuff is. So if I had to pick like one favorite movie of all time, that would probably be it. And the other one, any of my friends would be mad if I didn't mention this, is Wayne's World. Wayne's World is my happy movie. Whenever I've been depressed, I could put on Wayne's World and be good. And what I used to do, especially back when I was like in the military and everything, is every Saturday night I watch Wayne's World, and Sunday night I watch Wayne's World 2. Sometimes I'd watch them repeatedly. So altogether, I've estimated this out that since the movies came out in the 90s and it's 2021, combining them together, I've seen them just over 500 times. I can quote like any line from those movies and be good.
Well, there's also Beetlejuice. There's, pretty sure I said that one. There's the Addams Family movies. You could honestly take me to just about any Marvel or DC movie, and I will sit through all of them. Like
anything with Peter Cushing in
it. Yeah.
That's probably what really grabbed me when my mom showed me Star Wars the first time. I mean, aside from the fact that it was a cool ass movie, was Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin. That was the only actor I recognized. Like, I'm like 5 years old, and I'm like, it's Peter Cushing. Like, I didn't know who his name was. I'm like, it's Frankenstein, you know? And my mom's just cracking up laughing.
Yep. Okay. We should probably move on. Favorite vampire movie?
So I got three that I want one to go with. The first, of course, is Nosferatu. Well, the second would be the Vampire Hunter D movies. I definitely lean towards the first. I have my issues with the second one, but they're both good. And then the other one that we talked about going into Hammer was, you're all thinking like, oh, he's going to pick one of the Hammer Dracula ones. I'm going to throw you for a loop. Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter.
So, for me, it would be Nosferatu. Queen of the Damned.
Oh, yeah.
Interview with the Vampire. And then, there was another one that came out around that same time. What's it called? Oh,
well, she's trying to think. I did forget one that you're probably not going to hear often. Being a music nerd and being into all kinds of music, including like Japanese rock music, there was a movie made in the early 2000s with musicians Gecht and Hyde, where Hyde plays a vampire. It's called Moonchild. It seems like a really gimmicky movie, but it's actually a really good vampire movie.
that sounds good.
And the cool thing is, like, Hyde's a vampire, and there's, like, nothing else supernatural in it.
Do we have that?
I do have Moonchild.
Yes! We're going to have to watch that.
It's also got the best ending of any vampire movie.
Okay. Elvira or Vampira?
Elvira, hands down. So that's probably what got me into the goth thing, was she was on TV when I was a kid. And I went, yes.
Yeah, that definitely... My taste in women did not help that.
Oh, man, that waitress we like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oddly enough, when the second Elvira movie came out, Elvira's Haunted Hills, I went to pick that up at a Kmart, and my car died when the belt snapped in it. And I had to call my dad to get me a ride, and he was so mad that I didn't just go home after school. I don't care, but it's not really a comparison.
I know.
I will say, her question is Sisters of Mercy or Bauhaus, because those are like the two big influential goth bands. And I think we're on the same wave. Like, they fucking love the Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah, Bauhaus is good.
Bauhaus is, like, they're okay, but then, like, the big thing is everybody talks about Bela Lugosi's dead, and everybody, like, the whole goth community is just like, it's the best song ever. I don't like it.
It's almost too long.
Yeah, and I've heard various remixes of it, and every remix I've heard has been worse than the original.
Like, there is one Bauhaus song that I do like, and it's brain work.
I do like She Moves in Parties, but that's not the one you're thinking of.
No, it's not. It's
and they're one of those bands I like most everything else they do, especially if it's played in with some other stuff.
One.
But like on their own, I don't think it's not a band I'd go out of my way to listen to. However, there's a fantastic video, and it's on YouTube, of Bauhaus at Coachella. I think it was 2009.
Yeah.
They're doing Bela Lugosi's Dead, and in case you don't know, Bela Lugosi does like a 10-minute long song.
11.
Yeah. But Peter Murphy comes hanging down, upside down on the stage like a bat. And you're like, okay, that's a cool way to intro this. And he does that for the whole song. He sings it hanging upside down. It's unreal. Like,
yeah,
that's a band. Like, just seeing that, I'm like, I would love to see these guys live.
Being somebody who has done like serious vocal training, that takes some fucking balls.
She might have been strung up by.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's a band I would love to see live. Like, because Sisters of Mercy, like Andrew Eldritch still tours, but I've heard the show is meh. And that's where he throws in his new stuff. And people are like, nobody cares about your new stuff. You're a novelty act. Just play the like if you want to put the new stuff out, make another album.
Okay. Can we name each other's favorite band?
I don't know, because I don't think I have just one to pick.
I think that's both of our problems. Like I know that you really like Sonata Arctica and.
So, but if I had to pick one, especially if it was like our favorite band as a couple, it's Incubus Succubus. The first time we talked on the phone, I think we told the story before. I'm not a big phone guy. She's like, "Can I call you?" And I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "I'll probably only talk for like 5 minutes." It felt like 5 minutes. It ended up being like 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
But we started talking about music about halfway through this conversation, and when she starts naming some of these bands, I'm like, holy shit, you're into the goth thing? That was the big, like, whole wow moment. But she said something about Incubus Succubus, and I just got real, because she's like, hey, do you know Incubus Succubus? And I just got real silent, and I says, you know their song Witches? And she goes, yeah, and I'm like, that guitar intro is not like the sexiest goddamn thing you've ever heard. And she gets like dead silent and goes, yeah, that gets me really horny. And I'm like, me too! I think that was the moment where I knew she was the one.
And then we had like a 20-minute tangent where, like, mind you, I had a roommate at the time who was an even older ex than my last ex, because he needed a place to stay and I'm a nice-ish person. That's a whole other story for a different time. But I didn't want him like taking anything that he was hearing and feeding it to other people, because he does shit like that. But I was outside and like we went on like this 20-minute tangent of Incubus Succubus at that point. It was great.
But yeah, so we started talking at probably like midnight.
No, we started talking at like 4 p.m.
No, I'm talking in general.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking, I stepped outside on my balcony because it's hot in the room. And we're talking, and like I said, it felt like maybe 5-10 minutes. And all of a sudden I go, is that the sun?
That was a different conversation.
That happened a couple times.
Yeah, it did.
But I guess if we want to go there, one of my favorite bands, not really goth. They were a visual K band, though, so you can kind of throw it in there, like hair metal, goth type thing. It's X Japan. Hide is one of my favorite guitar players ever. And now I have to show it, so you might as well say whatever you got to say, because I got to run upstairs for a minute.
So, going off of favorite bands, I can't pick one, because for me, musically, like, I bounce around, and I've had so much influence, like, working on, like, flowers for different things. Like, literally the other day I was listening to gangster rap while doing flowers for stuff, because I can. And then, like, earlier today we were listening to, we had The Cure, we had Mortis, we had all kinds of shit playing.
I've got a great story about The Cure, but So Hide has always been probably my absolute favorite guitar player. I saw this at a guitar store, and this just goes back into my love of Wayne's World. This was sitting in the window. So the story was I bought a Gibson Epiphone. It's the Emily the Strange model. I'm not going to bring that downstairs. But I was saying, like, you know, like being in Japan, I need a guitar that's uniquely Japanese. And my buddy who was with me, because we were walking by the store, things called Rockin'. It was either Rockin' Naha or Rockin' Okinawa. It was on Kokosai Street in Naha. But he goes, well, I know you like Hide. You should get a replica of one of his guitars. And I'm like, I'm like, those are really hard to come by and they're expensive. He goes, there's one in the guitar store you always go to right there in the window. And so we looked up, and there it was, sitting in the window. If I can get it out of here. So I do have this thing. And it was, next to my car in the house, this is the most expensive thing I own. Let's just put it that way. And so I would go like every Saturday and go and play this thing. And I was like, there's no way I'll ever be able to afford this. And so my buddy who would watch, this is James, the RP James, not my roommate. Because he'd watch Wayne's World a lot with me. I'd be outside the store looking in the window, and he'd even quote Garth and be like, you'll never afford it, man. Live in the now. Which is why I almost die laughing every time I see that scene now when we watch. Like, I have to pause the movie. I'll be laughing so hard. But what I ended up doing is I signed up for a second year in Okinawa, and I got the bonus for that. It was a couple $1,000s. When that hit my bank account, I went to the guitar store. Sat there. I was like, yeah, I want the Hide guitar. And they're kind of laughing, and I'm playing on it. And the lady's like, okay, we got to close up. Can I put it away now? And I'm like, no, I'm going to take it home. And she kind of laughed, and I pull up my Visa card. I'm like, no, I'm going to take it home. So I've had that ever since. That's like my firstborn child.
There will be no children.
Actually, that's not true. My flamenco guitar would be my firstborn child. So.
Okay. What is it like to date each other? Oh my gods.
Amazing.
Dating.
To quote Dave Moten from the Sofa King podcast when they tried like a $300 bottle of whiskey, it's like kissing Jesus. That's the highest praise I can give it.
I am not that saintly. It's like reading your favorite book over and over again.
How many times have we like had a conversation and you know how you can sometimes guess the word like your partner says? We'll like say the exact same, yes, way to hit the tripod. And now you're looking around like, what did I bump my head into? You can bump your head into love. But it's like we'll have conversations and we'll finish like full sentences, 2 to 3 sentences sometimes. And we're always like on the same wave. Like when I said I wanted to convert the dining room into a ballroom, and she's kind of like, huh? And I'm like, let me explain it. And I explain my idea, and she just looks at me and goes, yeah, now we're doing that.
Yeah, like...
Anybody else would be like, that's stupid. Why would you? That's crazy.
Like, well, we've recently gotten a new doormat. Like,
yeah, we saw it on Facebook, and we asked like where it was from. The guy was like, I found it at Big Lots, and we were driving by a Big Lots, and I'm like, pull over. But it's a skull, but it's like in purple, blue, and green, and with a bit of white. So it's like some of our favorite colors, but friendlier looking. And then it says like, "Welcome, foolish mortals."
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah, no, we gotta have this.
Yeah, no, like, it honestly, dating you has been like the single best experience I've ever had.
No, but I have to say that loving you is like loving the dead. So. And the fact that I can make that joke and she like turns bright red, like she's redder than the goat right now, that should tell you something. That was actually a question we had discussed was two of the big like industrial acts being 9 Inch Nails and Typo Negative was like between those two, like we thought that was a better
fucking pick.
Yeah, that was like that's better than the Sisters of Mercy or Bios, but they're similar enough to group together but different enough that I couldn't pick.
Yeah, no.
I'd probably give the edge to 9 Inch Nails because I think they have.
I'd almost have to give it to fucking Peter Steele because god damn it, his voice is sexy.
He's like the male version of Tina Root from Switchblade Symphony. Like,
he is.
Damn, that would have been a great combo when he was around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd agree with that. But it's like, Life Is Killing Me is I think one of the greatest albums ever made. But then if you're going like by pure content, I think 9 Inch Nails would win it out. And I'm like playing Pong in my brain between it.
But 9 Inch Nails can also put out new stuff, and 9
Inch Nails is basically Trent Reznor and whoever he feels like working with.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Tobias Sammet and Avantasia. There's so many talented people behind it. Like, of course it's going to be good.
Right. Okay, so should we talk about this one or this one?
What, we just did that one.
Yeah. This one.
Oh, okay. This one. Because this one actually came up back in the day when I was on the dark side of the web message boards. It was like back in the days of Easy Board. And but it's kind of still dark side of the web, and it also was like, when they changed it later, it was like darknet.com or something. Now you can't use those terms because now you're talking about the deep web. But this came up there like 20 some years ago, and she had mentioned this, and I started laughing. I was like, I've had this conversation before.
Sure.
The question is, as far as boots go, Demonia or New Rock? And I got to give it to Demonia because I actually like the styles of New Rock, but I've never owned a pair because they're so stinking expensive.
Do you want to go get the wedding shoes?
We can do that later.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've owned a lot of Demonia boots over the years, so that's where my vote goes to.
Yeah.
I think from what I've heard, the New Rocks are a better quality. It's just why you pay like 3 times as much. But
Yeah, New
I can't.
Rocks, I've heard
I can spend $100 on shoes once in a while. I can't spend $4. Like I can never justify that.
Yeah, no, like New Rocks are cute. Demonias are cuter. Considering we just dropped $100 on shoes for our wedding.
Worth it.
Yeah. Those are so beyond worth it. They're like so goddamn gorgeous.
So do you have more? Or is that?
Oh, no. We have 2. Okay. Our first date.
We kind of touched on that.
Yeah, we touched on that.
But I drove up north to the one state park, and then I had an idea to go somewhere, so we drove. Did we go to Holy Hill? I think Holy Hill was the second time.
I think Holy Hill was the 3rd time.
But either way, we went out towards West Bend, and we went to the junk stop. So this is where...
Our first date, we actually went and got these 2 rings.
But this is the funny part, is I had Goth playlist on, and The Cure was on, and my old roommate came in, and she's like, "Are you depressed?" And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Are you going to kill yourself?" I'm like, "What? Where did that come from?" She goes, "We listen to The Cure. Only depressed people listen to The Cure." The song that was on was Friday, I'm in Love. I don't know where she went from A to B with that. But I mentioned to her, and then she starts hearing it on the radio all the time. So it's like our first date. We go out to this junk store. He's got a radio on. We're talking. Also, we both stop, and we just kind of look at each other. And the guys talk to us. He's like, "Is something wrong?" And we start laughing. Because Friday, I'm in Love came on the radio. And it's come on so many times, and you're probably sitting like, "Oh, that's your song." No, it's not. It's just a really good memory.
Yeah, no. I don't think we exactly have a song at this point.
No, but I like... You always have that one that connects with you, but I always hate when like it comes to the radio and couples are like, "It's our song." So I want it to be something really inappropriate. Closer by 9 Inch Nails.
But like I have a playlist on my Spotify that I literally just labeled happy. Like I have all kinds of playlists and they're labeled weird things. Like one of them is labeled Drive, the other one is...
What were you eating? I see that hanging off your face. Oh, that's just some crap that was on the ground. You're probably sniffing it.
But there's one labeled Drive. There's one labeled Better Drive. There's all kinds of them like labeled weird stuff. But that's my happy playlist, and it's got the very first song on it is Friday I'm in Love. But like one of the last songs on it is All the Love in the World.
Which is what I asked her to put on there.
Actually, I think the very last song is Oh My Goth.
Being a horny teenager with nothing to do on a Friday night, and that comes on the radio. My parents wonder why I never left my bedroom.
I didn't leave my bedroom. I had no friends.
That too. I didn't want any.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. If you could have any song play when you walk into a room.
That's not fair. That was my question. But I stole it from work.
Yeah.
They put like different questions up on the message board at work just for like to make this conversation. This was one of them. But in case you didn't hear it, was if you could have any song play whenever you walk into a room, what would it be? Now I've long since kind of joked that my theme song is Pinhead Cranberry Dance by the Japanese punk rock band The Michelle Gun Elephant, which I'm going to have to play for you because then you'll understand why. I'll probably have to do it like at the end of the video and then add a thing at the end of. But the one I would want played, especially if we're talking goth music, would be This Corrosion by the Sisters of Mercy. Just because that choir comes in and you stroll into the room looking all heroic, which we do at the bar up the street because we have the jukebox app. So I'll set that to start about 20 seconds before we walk through the door. So they think that happens whenever we go in there.
Okay. Mine is Ghost in the Circuit by oh fuck, what's the band? It's not, is it Diaform? It might be Diaform. I can't remember who it's by, but at this exact moment. No, Diaform is Voltaic. Control.
Another good one would be When You're Evil by Voltaire.
Yeah.
So, my one time of basically living a musical. Forget what we're doing. Something it was the day we had to clean the barracks, and I was in charge. And I forget what I said, but somebody made a comment like, "Why would you do that to us?" or something. And I just looked at him and started quoting the song, and then I just started singing it, and I did like the whole fucking song. They're just all staring at me like, "What the hell?"
So, because we have a little bit of time, and I can tell the story pretty quickly. So, yes. So, I was in the hospital, and he couldn't send me anything because it was during COVID and everything like that. And I was in there for about a week, and it was pretty bad. I won't go into too many details about why, but when I got out of the hospital and got everything situated and stuff like that, I got a box from Amazon. Like, I knew I was getting a box from Amazon.
One of the few times where I managed to not tell her what it was.
Yeah. I opened the box, and I got it inside, I opened the box, and I started squealing. Because I got whoosh. Over here. Like, he is modeled after Homunculus Lexodonus, which is in the Netherlands. It's a statue that is known as the Awaiter, and it's set outside a doctor's office.
And he's what was waiting for her to get back from the doctor.
Yeah. He's cute and soft, and he gets to sleep in the bed with us. I wasn't sure where Elephant was, because I was going to bring her down too.
Yeah, she made me an elephant. She crocheted. It's been on my old channel before. But we had some stuff going on in the house, and it got kind of messed up, so we would wait to clean it up. But yeah, so we would put him together, and since his arms are like this, I could get her head under there so it looked like he was holding her. But yeah, I was sleepy, and I wanted to say, how's the elephant coming along? And I was like, how's Elephant? And I was like, okay, the thing has a name now.
Yeah. She ended up being way cute and stuff, so.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to play that song for you.
Okay, go grab my phone.
So,
it's right over there.
Where?
A little further. Look up by my bag.
Oh, okay, go on YouTube.
Okay.
While we're at it, since we were discussing the doll collection, we've gotten two recently that have kind of become the pride and joy of the collection. I'm just going to show the one off, but they're from the same series. And we found these on a thrift store for like $5-6. And finding them online, this one's really expensive, and the other one we think is a custom. But we saw this, I'm like, hey, they have another one of those dolls, and I ran over to it, and I looked at it, I was like, it looks like a younger version of my stepmom. And this one has the tag, and it has the name on it, and has the same name as my stepmom. And I'm like, that's weird.
It's weird and creepy, and we love it.
All right, so you might want to give me the phone to type this in because
All I remember is something elephants.
Pinhead cranberry. I was gonna try and change that to cranberry. I just know it. Dance. There it is, and you'll understand. This is what the other one I want because this is what I kind of sound like when I walk into a room. You can see it.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Yep, that very much so. Yeah. I'm like analyzing this like a good wine. That ice wine.
We went to the winery last weekend and we got an ice wine that was just amazing.
It's in the fridge.
Yeah, we might have some of that later. And by later, I mean as soon as I stop recording this. Funny thing, there's a thing, I'm in this Frasier fan group on Facebook. We're both huge Frasier fans. That helped things too.
Yeah.
We both have a thing about falling asleep watching Frasier.
Yeah.
But there's an episode where they're doing like a wine taste off, and Niles, the first one of the wines, is chewy. So it's like this big conversation in this group that's, how can a wine be chewy? No, nobody gets it. But we were there and we tried one and we're drinking it, and I'm like, you remember that episode of Frasier where Niles mentions that he finds the one wine chewy? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, try this. And she takes a drink and she goes, yeah, there's no other word to describe it. It was chewy.
Yeah, like I guess another word, now that I think of it, would kind of be a little grainy, but grainy almost doesn't quite cover it.
Because it went down smooth. It felt like something you would chew.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, it felt like you were, like I was describing.
It felt more like a cooking wine.
I was saying it felt more like I just pulled the cork out and was nibbling on the cork or something.
Yeah.
And hey, I got some of the wine with it. That sounds like something I would do.
Mucus.
But the other one, we might as well joke. We're talking about like Gothic fashion. I said I do like the more Victorian style stuff, but I do like some more modern, like cyber goth and stuff once in a while. I look damn good in that kilt. But there's a big joke in this Frasier group where, because there's an episode where Niles wears like the ruffled pirate type shirt, and it's almost the same one that Jerry Seinfeld wore in that episode of Seinfeld. So there's always a discussion like who wore it better, Seinfeld or Niles? And then I remember I once made a comment about Prince, and this thing's gonna die soon. I made a comment about Prince, and so now the conversation is like, okay, who wore it better? And it'll show like Niles, Jerry Seinfeld, and Prince. And the last time that came up, and I'd been planning this out, I posted a copy of a picture of me wearing almost the same shirt, and with the sort of the paraphrasing Boy George and his whole thing about it's not who did it first, it's who did it best. And I was like, doesn't matter who wore it better, I wore it best.
Yeah.
But so our battery's gonna die. So
we're out of time. So toodles.
And this is like oh my, hour and 12 minutes.
Okay.
We gotta go. We're gonna have
Auf
some of that wine.
Wiedersehen.